Good afternoon, good evening, good night. Whenever you're watching this, welcome. My name is kjmeuer. I am a beautiful human who's been in corporate sales, but also this amazing hippie who loves walking barefoot and hugging trees and happens to teach yoga, became a meditation teacher, but was also an angry child growing up in an alcoholic family. And through all of that, I have realized that anger is one of my emotions that can have the most impact on how to optimize doing what's really true for me. And so I know how wild that sounds, and I know how crazy and you're I don't really get that. Anger is usually because someone crossed a boundary. I used to think the same thing. It's them. It's the outside world not valuing me, not hearing me, not seeing me, right? Again, I grew up in an alcoholic family. It's because my family doesn't see me, doesn't hear me. They don't know how much work I've done on myself, and they're not valuing it. They're just saying it's my fault again. And so I had to work through that. I'm not saying this happened overnight, but in 2017, I took a big dive and I did a Vosa live talk. You can look it up, but I put my anger out there to the world. I put the identity out there that I'm the angry child. So I really put it out there. And yeah, I'm angry because anger is seductive. I'm going to be honest. Sometimes in my life, I have really loved being angry because it gave me energy and motivation to fight, earn, improve, to be competitive, to show of course I can do that. Yeah, I'm that talented. I know I am. But and then I started thinking, but why do I need someone else to push me, prod me, poke me, abuse me, use me in order for me to finally decide that I want to be my truest, brightest, fullest expression in that situation? Why do I need that? Well, anger is seductive because sometimes it feels really good to be angry, and it does. Situations will come up and you're angry. Now, if it's a time and place and space where you can be angry and you can express it, go for it. If it's not, right, you're in a corporate sales meeting or you're in a situation where you're about to perform and you're I'm really angry about that, but I can't do anything about that right now. Right now, what I have to do is be my brightest, truest expression and go out there and perform. And I've had this big aha this week because a lot of anger has come up in my corporate job, in this beautiful thing that I love called ballroom dance. I'm an amateur competitor, and even old patterns with my family, old woodworking things have come up where I'm oh my gosh, I'm angry again. And I'm letting anger take over my creative space, where I call it my daydreaming space, where I go on walks and I just think about what I could create in this world, and I leave it kind of open-ended, and I call it kind of like creating music. I just let my brain kind of move in and out of thoughts and dance and sing and create musical notes and oh yeah, that would be cool. I'd love to do that. Oh, and then what would I do? And then what would I do? And then what would I add? But this week it's all been, nope, I'm just pissed. They're taking advantage of me again. They have no idea that I know they are. I'm not an idiot. I'm not stupid. You want my energy. I would want my energy too. I work really hard on it. You're welcome. You're welcome. So I was getting kind of like that. And I'm God, there's something here. So I woke up this morning, and this is what I wanted to say about anger. Anger is absolutely when a boundary has been crossed. The seductive, tricky thing about anger is that anger is actually a fear response. But because anger is so seductive and we want to make it that person isn't hearing me, seeing me, understanding me, we're making it about them instead of internalizing it and reflecting it and realizing that actually a boundary has been crossed underneath the surface, whether it's subconscious thought pattern and belief, whether it's something we still need to heal from our childhood, whether it's something we still need to work through and kind of understand, why does my ego pull so hard to that when this is truly what my inner voice, my inner guidance, intuition, whatever you want to call it, your soul is actually yearning for? Like, why do I keep getting distracted by that anger and trying to fight, earn, improve, even when it's all alone behind closed doors when I'm on a walk and I'm still thinking about it? Like, that right there was like my biggest indicator of like, so I'm giving my power away to them. Why? Because I could be creating right now, but I'm not. And I used to think like, oh, well, how can I do that? Because then when I go to work, I'm all in at work. Or when I go to a ballroom lesson, like I can just be all in at that lesson. And it's like, it's not that those aren't helpful, because sometimes you have to remove yourself from the anger, completely do something else, like go back to work and be present and all of that. But again, if it really has crossed a boundary in your inner world, it will come up when you are giving yourself a place and space to be creative, when you're giving yourself just space, right? When you're trying to meditate and you're trying to find what they call in meditation the gap, the time and place and space between two thoughts, right? That infinite possibilities, the unlimited potential area where you have a thought and there's a gap and then the next thought. We do this all day long, but a lot of times, if you're like me, you just keep thinking. So you really don't, you have like milliseconds in between thoughts. Meditation has taught me how to enjoy the time and place and space in between two thoughts so much more, to enjoy solitude, to enjoy silence, to just hear my breath. Like, but the thing is, I'm not doing that with eyes wide open in a vulnerable position and place and space like a ballroom dance floor. Why? Great questions. Great questions. So when all this anger was coming up and knowing what I know about anger and being like, yeah, but anger just means a boundary's been crossed. I want to say it's my dance instructors or the dance world, or like, hey, they don't see me, they don't hear me, they think I'm an idiot and I don't know what they're doing right now. I know what they're doing. I know they're mind messing with me, making me think that if I do this next thing, it's because then I'll win the competition, or then you'll beat that competitor. Like, you just have to do this one thing. And it's like, yeah, but you're using that so you get what you want. That's not what I want. And that's the seductive piece about anger, is we, even as society, even me, we use anger as this thing to make people feel like they're not enough. How do I know? I'm a expert in the not enough place. Watch my Evoso live talk. I know the not enough place like the back of my hand. I know it so well that I know when I've gone back into it, because I know how it feels in my body. I know the kind of thoughts I think. I know the behaviors I act, because I've evaluated it, because I do what I did this morning. When I really start to get angry and it starts to disempower me, meaning it's taking away from my creative place and space, it's taking away from my meditation, it's no matter what I'm doing, it just keeps popping up and into my head of like, how am I going to solve this problem? How am I going to outsmart them, outwit them? How am I going to competitively conquer them and crush them? Show them that I do matter and I know better than you do. Whatever it is. That's when I know. All right, let's do some work. So this whole week it's been coming up and I've tried to think about it. I write about it. Nothing was happening. But Saturday mornings I get a lot more time just to myself. So I started journaling about it today. And I was thinking about anger and all these things. And here's the hard, cold truth about anger too that I haven't shared with you, is anger is when a boundary has been crossed. But again, use anger as a way to internally reflect what inner boundary has been crossed. That's number one. Number two, once you actually just own and acknowledge that, like, yeah, I let some boundary in my inner world be crossed and I'm mad. So am I really mad at myself? Most likely, yes. Because the thing I always say about anger is blame yourself. Say, okay, what did I do in this situation? Did I have expectations about this situation? Where did they come from? Was I clear in my expectations of this? Sometimes your expectations are on point and someone just didn't do what they were supposed to do. Sometimes your expectations are way off and that's just not actually possible. Sometimes the expectations were right on point. The other person just doesn't want to do it. Or they're in their own pattern, their own subconscious thoughts, patterns, and beliefs, and they're just living that out and they don't know any other way to be. It's not them. And I know that's really hard. It's really hard for me. Forgiveness has been a lifelong lesson for me too. But I say the Ho'oponopono prayer all the time, and I'm like, but you know what? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And I say it to myself and I say it to the other person. And then this is the deeper part. So once you kind of work through that, because again, with anger, sometimes you can express it in the moment. Sometimes you can't. If you can express it in the moment, use the seduction of anger to your advantage. Use that as energy to go run and sprint up a hill. Use that energy to go fight, earn, improve. Use that energy to build that business plan that you're like, hell yeah, I'm going to win this deal. Whatever it is, use it. But there will come a point where you're on walks and you're like, and I'm still bothered by it, even though I did the thing that I wanted. Even though in that moment when that person said that thing and I finally got to say that really hurtful comment that I've been thinking about saying and I said it and it felt good in the moment. But maybe even not that day, maybe not that night, maybe a couple days later, like, yeah, that wasn't worth it. No, felt good in the moment, but now I still feel unfulfilled. I still feel lost. I still feel like, this isn't what that's supposed to feel like. I thought if I finally said that thing, I would be empowered. I'm not empowered. I'm disempowered. Because when we start to think that this outside thing is what is going to heal us, that's when we're on the wrong track. That's when I'm on the wrong track, because I've had to break down the comments that I've said that I thought would make me feel better. And so I'm like, oh, it's because I was trying to make them feel smaller so that I could be empowered. That's not true empowerment. That's really not. Yeah, I know. I feel pretty awful and shameful about that. But anger, once you work through it and you give yourself time and place and space, even if you did the seductive thing and use the anger to your advantage, which I still do, because I think anger is energy and any emotion is energy in motion. So use it, but use it in a productive way. That's like, okay, but I'm going to use this to get better at myself. It could be a workout. It could be dance lessons and form and technique work. It could be giving you motivation and inspiration to, when you're really, really tired, say, nope, I am going to get up and I'm going to practice this. Or, you know what, right now, I really want to be a victim. This actually happened at a dance lesson. I really want to be a victim. I'm crying. I'm like, I want you to feel how bad you make me feel right now. And I was like, this is an old pattern. I'm not a victim. This is very disempowering. I need them to lower down to make me feel better. No. So I even said to my instructor, I'm like, hey, I need 2 minutes. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna come right back and I'm gonna be a different person. Okay. So I left. I do this weird, I do it at yoga all the time, but this chair sweeping thing to release energy. And I laid down on a couch and I cried for a moment. And I was like, hey, Katie Jane, I know we're scared. I know. But it's okay. It's okay. And once I just let myself be scared, I let myself change the energy, came back and I looked at him and he was so funny. He was like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm back. And he was like, where were you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, but I'm back, I promise. And he was like, okay. And it was so funny because he's like, okay. And then it was a little awkward for a little bit. And then after that, it was okay. And he goes, what do you want to do? I was like, I just want to dance. I can't work on form and technique right now. It's not going to help. I'm like, it's going to make me feel worse about myself. I'm like, so I'm really sorry. I'm like, we just need to do a round. He's like, okay, let's just dance. So I bring all this up because, again, I'm going to keep reiterating this because I know I'm lengthy when I talk, but I do bring up my points throughout it. Anger, number one, it just means a boundary's been crossed. Internally, inside, subconsciously, whether you know it or not, but an internal boundary has been crossed. So if you can use that to your advantage in the moment and use it as energy, as motivation and inspiration, go for it. Sometimes in the moment we can't. That's okay. Make a note, come back to it later. And trust me, if you don't make a note, it's going to pop up on your walks. It's going to pop up later. It will be something that will still follow you around until it hits you square across the face and knocks you down. How do I know? Because it did it to me. It keeps doing it to me. Because I'm still learning this lesson. And guess what? That's just life. We learn a lesson and we think, okay, now I graduated, complete, check it off the list. No. You learned that level of it. And now it's like an onion. So now there's going to be another one to be like, did you learn it? Now we're going to put it in a place and space that you love, that you care about, that you are more passionate about than you've ever been passionate about something in your whole life. So you really want this thing. Now we're going to bring it up and make you work through it. It will. And you don't even have to try and control it, plan it. It doesn't matter. The universe is smarter than you. It just is. It will come back. So don't worry if you're like, I'm going to make a note and do it later. And then you don't. Guess what? Universe always has your back. It's going to bring it up. So the second part is when you really express the anger and release it, because you do, and I can give you tips and tricks, message me on how to express it healthily, right? In your own place and space. Like I've done things where I've walked angrily and slapped my feet on the ground like a temper tantrum. I do energy workouts to release anger. I also sometimes scream into a pillow in the safety of my own home. Sometimes I scream in the car. Sometimes I do take a baseball bat to a pillow in the safety of my own home with no one around, because this isn't about other people. It's about me, and I need to release this anger. So that's a sidebar. Back to where we need to be. So now once you release that anger, I do really encourage you to journal about it. Free write. And I don't think you need a list of questions, because guess what? Your mind and your body and your spirit already know what needs to come through. But that's exactly what I did this morning. Now that I had time to actually think about all this anger that keeps coming up, because I'm angry about this thing at dance. And I kept thinking all week of all these things that I was going to do to outsmart them, outwit them, and be like, see, I know what you're doing. I looked this up and it and this is what it should be. And why did you do that? And make them wrong and me right. That's not empowering, because I need them to be wrong in order to be right. It's disempowering to both of us. And I think it's going to make me feel better, but I because I know this not enoughness feeling, because I know anger so well, I'm like, yep. But it's not that, because I even wrote down in here, I'm like, okay, let's say I had all the money in the world. Money wasn't an issue. This was like, you asked me to pay 2 cents for this, right? I'd still be like, no, because I need them to know I'm not an idiot. I need them to know, like, I know what you're doing. I need you to know that I know you're trying to pretend like I don't matter, but I do matter, and I matter to me. So F off. And no, I'm not going to do it. So that was my hint. I'm like, so it's not the money. I'm just making it about the money and making it about the dance thing when it's something about me. So I even wrote at the very top, I'm like, this is good shedding. This is good shedding for me. I'm like, so these are just people in their own patterns, but I'm interpreting it as them trying to use competition to make me do things I don't want to do, because I know how competition works. This is why anger is amazing, because that's what competition thrives off of. If you're not smart about it and use it in healthy ways, like I'm doing with writing. And so I said, or is this about me caring about what I desire, how I want to dance, and my connection to me, my instructors, my intuition of like, no, this is really what I want to do. I know this is what I want. I know it doesn't work for you, and I'm really sorry about that, but no. And so I then wrote, and it's because I'm scared. I'm scared to ask for what I really want. I'm scared that if I am true to myself and I say, no, that doesn't work for me, that I won't be loved, that I won't be valued, that I won't matter. That was tough for me. And so I said, so then, is this more about developing as a dancer? Or is this, I'm still just dancing scared, regardless of the outside world? That's when you know it's real. I can't even say it without getting emotional. And so, I mean, I kept writing and writing. I mean, it takes me a while to figure out emotions for me. So I was like, okay, so I'm feeling used and abused. I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of when they need me. And then you treat me like crap when I need something. Again, this is all my interpretation. I'm not saying they're doing this. And even if they are doing it, the point is, that's what anger is. Anger is very seductive because it's so easy to make it about them, when really anger is an inner boundary has been crossed. Once you can move through that energy, what's underneath that is usually fear. It's usually scared. It's usually something underneath us that is wanting to be loved. There's a piece of us, a part of us that is still scared to be loved. We can dance around it. We can say it's acceptance. We can say it's value. It's this or that. No, it's scared to be loved for being exactly our authentic, truest, brightest, fullest expression and asking for what we need. am I still going to be loved? And so I kept writing like, okay, this is scary, but maybe on competition days where I allow old patterns and thoughts of being less than, of being not enough. So then when I watch other dancers, I think, see, I'm just never going to be as good as them. Like, my instructors are mad at me again. I can't do this. I don't have enough money. Like, I'm never going to be able to compete because I can't go to all the competitions. I have a corporate job. I have my yoga, my meditation classes. I have my private clients. Like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'm always going to be a letdown to the studio. I'm always going to be pathetic and awful. Like, I'm never going to be enough. And so when I'm in that less than mode, what do? Well, I watch more dancers to feel more less than. I look to my instructors to make me feel like I'm messing everything up, that it's all my fault. I'm looking to them for validation because I just get smaller and smaller and smaller, and I shrink into myself and these constant thoughts that are unhelpful, versus being connected to the music and the connection and the breath and the moments that I have when I'm daydreaming about dance where I'm like, yes, I want to fully express this about myself. The moments when I'm dancing all alone to a song and I just get to express whatever is coming through in that song. Like, I'm missing out on that. Okay. And so then I got really excited. I can see because my handwriting got really messy. And I was like, is this actually my real life in the moment experience to elevate my meditation ability, to come back to the meditation of life with eyes wide open in the most vulnerable spot with bright lights shining on me on a dance floor in front of other people, along with dancing with someone else that I need to connect to. Like, I need them. I cannot dance without them. So it was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Because then I went through some other stuff and I was like, because Katie, we could leave this dance world. We would be totally okay if we left this dance world. No big deal. But maybe this is for our highest learning. And I always speak in like that because I always think it's me, my little Katie Jane, my spirit guides, the universe, my uncle Rob, who passed, he's in my circle too. And so I always say it's for our highest learning and our highest growth, because it's not just me in this game. I got a whole team behind me and my little Katie Jane. Maybe this is for our highest learning, our highest growth, because we do really want this really bad. But we have also found that we really enjoy the process of dancing even more than the winning. So what if I can really develop skills to stay grounded and rooted into me first, to take care of my energy and my thoughts first, ground into the process that, hey, I know I'm going to go back to the dance studio and dance and learn and get better. Like, I love it that much. So regardless of results, can I still go for it, all out, dance in my fullest, brightest, truest expression in that moment, regardless of outcomes, regardless of fear of losing, regardless of fear of failure, and regardless of the seduction and the pull of mind games and anger? And I had to pause for a while and be like, oh my gosh, because I wrote at the top, ooh, Katie Jane. Ooh, Katie Jane, this is really, really good insight. Like, it was like this juicy idea. Like, okay, it's so good. The seduction of mind fucks. I'm sorry for the PG-13 people out there. The seduction of mind fucks with competitive thoughts and the mind spin. It's disempowering. No. Meaning I use the outside world to show me how they use me, they abuse me, they take advantage of me and my energy. Of course, I have good energy. Why wouldn't they? Duh. But I use it as a way to fight, earn, and prove that I deserve love. I'm better. I can do this. But the thing is even if I lose, now what? Because I can't control the opinions of others. That's not on me. And that's not just dance. That's just the society we live in. And people thinking they have control by labeling and judging, because this is where I'm going with this anger and why I'm bringing this up. Because when people get to label and judge, it allows people to put things in their place so that they feel more in control. They feel safe, right? So I attracted this thing called ballroom dance thinking, oh, it's them. And then if I just make them happy, then I'll be loved. No. I have to remember, it's just a society thing that we do. Judging and labeling things and making me be right, you be wrong. I'm better, you're worse. This is good, this is bad. It's just a control response to anger. And underneath anger is always fear. The fear of being loved. The fear of, if I follow my intuition, am I still going to be loved? The fear of, If I follow my intuition and do what I need to do to take care of myself, will everything be okay? Is everything going to work out for my highest, truest, brightest expression in this world? I don't know. I don't know. And the truth is, you will never know either. However, if I take out that labeling, if I take out that judging, and I just come back to what I talk about in yoga all the time, there's no good, bad, right or wrong, better or worse on the mat. It's just you connecting back to you. Yoga means union, but we cannot connect to things outside of ourselves as deeply as we are connected to ourselves, meaning I can only connect to someone outside of myself as deeply as I'm connected to myself. I can only connect to the dance, the music, the movement as deeply as I'm connected to myself. And it's owning that fear. It's owning that underneath anger. It's just this scared feeling of, am I going to be loved? Can I love myself by doing what's best for me? Not by the validation from my instructors. And not that they've ever said that I need it. That's me. That's my patterns. Those are my boundaries that I'm pushing down, saying they use me, they abuse me, they don't care about me, I don't matter to them. Yet I get on the dance floor at a competition and all I care about is their validation. I care about their validation more than winning. Yeah, that one hit me hard at the last competition. And it's not them. Again, I track the situation because this has been my whole life. A divine feminine being looking for masculine approval. Like, that's a society thing. That's a patriarchal society thing. I could go on. But that's also my soul. Like, that's me. I came into this life desiring as a soul to unwind this. So, like, regardless of the society we grew up in, let's even put that aside. This is my inner world. If I really want to connect to me and be able to dance the way that I want to dance and be so connected to the music and movement, it doesn't matter who bumps into us on the dance floor. It doesn't matter what is going on in the outside world. I could care less about the outcome because I'm just so deeply connected to myself that I can deeply connect to the music, the movement, the present moment, and my instructor. That's meditation with eyes wide open in the most vulnerable state that I could be in, wondering if I'm going to be loved, wondering if it's going to work out if I follow my intuition on the dance floor, which will only cascade out into everyday life. I say that about the yoga mat all the time. I'm like, it's not just here. It's how can you bring this into your everyday life? Well, that's what this ballroom is. This is just the area that it's coming up for me right now. But anger, again, I always go back to it. Anger, it's just an inner boundary has been crossed. If you can use the energy of anger to motivate and inspire you to empower yourself and get work out, go for it. If it's a place and space where you can't, or you're going to disempower yourself, take a break. Go do something else. Maybe wait a couple days. Maybe journal about it. Maybe walk about it. But in a way for you to be curious about how you can learn about yourself through it, right? I have time this morning to do this, so I'm doing this. But I wrote down here, again, underneath it, number 2, this is the big thing. Anger underneath it all is fear. Because control is a fear response, and anger allows us to feel like we're in control. It allows me to feel like it's them, it's not me. So if I just make them wrong, then I'm right. There we go. Done. Now I'm safe. But underneath it, no. Because even if they're wrong and I'm right, do I still feel loved? Let's say I follow my intuition on the dance floor and it's something my instructor doesn't like and they don't validate me. Do I still love me? Do I still matter to me? And I'm saying these as questions that I'm asking myself. Like, I'm not on a pedestal here telling you that I have figured all this anger stuff out. No, like, it's been since 2017 and I'm still working through it. But I'm so glad I am because it's getting me to more and more places of empowerment. Because when I can sit back and say, okay, it's because I'm not protecting my energy. It's because I'm not protecting what I really want in this world. I need to ask for what I really want, regardless of the outside world, because I know I'm going to love myself anyway. I know I'm going to empower myself anyway, even if I don't get what I want. It's the sheer fact of asking for what I want. It's saying no to things that I know I'm just doing because I think I'm going to be perceived as a better person because I'm taking care of someone else's energy. But all it does is drain for me. That's disempowering. It's also disempowering to them because I'm letting them use me as their way to feel better about themselves. No. I can never make anyone feel better about themselves. Just like nobody can make me. My instructor's validating me for dance. They could, but that's never going to be more valuable or more loving to myself than being honest about, okay, the anger came up. I worked through it. I realize it's a fear response because I wonder if I'm going to be loved. Okay, now that I know that, and this is where I'm going to leave this. So I worked through it and I said, okay, so where am I genuinely feeling called to follow the flow and the impulse to just let go and move with beauty and dance? Where am I following the impulse to just let go? In Shavasana. Where am I just letting go to the impulse to sit back and patiently wait like I do in meditations? I never worry about an aha coming through in a meditation. Even if it doesn't come, I'm like, it's okay. I'm closer. But it just means I'm not ready for it yet. Okay. So then I started thinking about how meditation empowers me. But how am I not being that real life, eyes wide open in the most vulnerable place with bright lights on you on a dance ballroom competition floor? Why am I not doing that? I'm scared to be loved. I'm scared for the bright, shiny lights to show all of my shame, all of my not great habits, all of the moments that I am disempowering myself where, yeah, I say not nice things. Sometimes I am a bitch. Sometimes I am selfish. Sometimes, damn it, I wasn't really nice or kind because I wasn't being nice and kind to myself. But we're all human. It's just the human experience. So I say, I'm so sorry. I love me. Please forgive me. Thank you. Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. And there's no reason I can't go up to someone and be like, hey, I was just in a moment where I was really unkind to myself, so I was unkind to you, and I'm really sorry about that. I own that. Done. Even if they don't accept it, it doesn't matter. That's where I'm at. Same with Al-Anon, right? Sometimes forgiveness is always for you. It's never for anyone else. It's always for you. And it should be, because it empowers you, because you've let it go. And so here's where I'm going to leave you. What anger has taught me once I moved through the energy, once I realized a boundary was crossed in my inner world, and once I took the time to realize anger is just a fear response. We try to control things, and I'm trying to control feeling loved when I can't control that because I need to feel love no matter what. How do I feel love? It's when I'm making decisions that empower me versus disempower me, regardless of the outside world. It's when I'm making choices that follow an intuitive hidden inner guidance and inner feeling of, God, it would just feel really good. I know logically it doesn't make sense, but I really want to create this in my life. What feels like creating versus I'm a victim and I just have to suck it up and do this. Where am I making decisions where I feel connected to myself versus distracted? They seem like seemingly insignificant choices, thoughts, and patterns, but they're very powerful. And if I can get really clear on asking myself these questions in the seemingly mundane, insignificant choices, well, that's just practice for the really bigger choices when I'm on a competition floor with bright lights on me in the most vulnerable place that I feel like I could ever be. It starts with the small, because how you do the small things in life is how you do the big things in life. So if I want to dance connected to myself, well, I better start doing it even when I order a cup of coffee, even when I teach yoga, when I'm practicing yoga, when I'm interacting with a customer where I know they messed up and I really want to prove that I was right and they were wrong. No. Is that empowering to me? No, not really. Okay, how can I make this empowering? How can I make this that we both acknowledge that, but we also say, okay, maybe both sides didn't handle it right. How do we make a solution long term? And it will be hard. I already know this is going to be hard. It's going to take a lot of ownership on my part. It's going to take me being really selfish in a healthy way of like, no, I'm so sorry. I can't do that right now. No, I was doing that, unfortunately, because I thought if I was a better person, then I would be loved. But that's not how I want to be loved anymore. I'm so sorry. And I might not even use that terminology with them, but I'll use that with me so that I know that's what it's about. So anyway, I hope you use anger to your advantage in a way that's healthy so that you can realize, like, anger is one of the most impactful emotions because it can inspire you to motivate yourself and do really hard things. Have energy when you don't think you have any left, so use it when you can. But you also have to balance that with, okay, when do I take the time, though, to unwind it and realize where I am still trying to control? Where's my ego trying to control life? Where am I giving my power over to people because my mind keeps getting distracted with how I'm going to get validation from them, how I'm going to prove them wrong, how I'm going to be better or worse, so I'm going to outwit them? No. Okay, I'm in that spin. Got it. Where am I still scared? What am I still fearing? And it might take a while, right? I was like, well, I fear losing. I fear not getting validation from my instructors when, okay, but underneath that, it's really because I wonder if I'm going to be loved by being exactly who I am, by being true to myself. Am I risking not being loved by others? Maybe. But again, the most powerful, impactful relationship you'll ever have is with yourself and your inner world. We can only connect to things outside of ourselves as deep as we are willing to connect to ourselves. And that is a lifelong journey for me. I don't know about for you, but it is for me. And so I know this was much longer than I thought. It always is. But I do really think this is pretty powerful and pretty impactful. So I'd love to hear from you on this. I'd love to hear if you use these questions in a powerful way that empower you for you without having to disempower other people, that allows you to create in your life, not be a victim of your life, and that allows you to connect to yourself more on a daily basis so that you stop being distracted by things that are taking you away from being your truest, brightest, fullest expression in this world, and reminding yourself that you are already divine love. I know that logically. My energetic system, my soul system, my inner world just needs to connect back to that more. And that's my work right now. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, you know where to find me. Post below, email me, Trusting Your Truth on Instagram. And other than that, have the most magical, fantastic, empowering day that you can have just for you, regardless of the outside world. Enlighten love. Namaste. Katie Jane.